August reflects National Tradies Health Month. Well, both in Australia and abroad, I guess. It's not really relevant to location. However, with that in mind, I thought I'd bring on a relevant sponsor for the month of August. And I just want to clarify, the company that I've brought on here is not by any ways paying me. We're not in any affiliation or anything like that. I've just approached them and I said, listen, guys, being that it is this tradies, I approached them and said, guys, it's Tradies National Health Month this year. We're going to be creating a lot of podcasts, a lot of content on health and well-being. And, I really believe in what you guys are doing. And I'd like to, give you guys a bit of promotion. And, of course, they were mad for that. So the company I'm talking about is FullScript Gymnastics Strength Training. And I just want to talk a little bit about gymnastic strength training. It's a form of, it's a form of training that I've adopted over the last 5 months, and it's been pretty life-changing. I traditionally came from, I suppose, that CrossFit style training, high intensity style, where you go in there and you just absolutely smash yourself for 60 minutes and then you barely walk out of there. I realized that, in 5, 10, 15 years time, if I kept doing that sort of training, I probably wasn't going to be able to bend down and pick up the kids that I did not yet have. So it was time to change, and I realized that I wanted to do something that was going to help me improve my range of movement, improve my mobility and my flexibility. And also I wanted to be, in a scenario where I was doing activity that was injury preventative. So, I don't want to run the risk of going to the gym and injuring myself. I want to be able to train in a way that's going to, potentially stop me from injuring myself looking forward. So FullScript Gymnastics Strength Training, they're based on the Northern Beaches, right near Warringah Mall. They just opened this amazing new facility, probably the best facility, certainly in Sydney and potentially within Australia. And it really, really appeals to people, that may relate to what I'm saying. If you're bored of this type of training you've been doing, or you're looking at something a little bit different, or you want to improve your range of movement, and you want to be able to do all this stuff, then 100% you've got to come check this out, because it's just a fantastic program, and it's run by Dan and Tori. They're unbelievable gymnastics trainers. Don't freak out. It's not like little girl gymnastics. It's actually made for adults, and it's a very highly researched program which comes out of the United States, and as affiliates, Dan and Tori basically represent that. Anyway, you can head across to the site shed where you'll see a link to that for the rest of the month, and then of course their website, which is fullscript.com.au. You can go along there. If you're on the Northern Beaches, do yourself a favour, go and sign up for their 2-week trial, and also make sure you join their mailing list where you can they'll regularly send out basically free tips on, things that you can do to add value to your life. So, in the space of, becoming more mobile, becoming more flexible, and just little exercise and things that, you can practice on your own in your own time. So it doesn't matter where in the world you are, you can jump on that mailing list and you can get access to that stuff when it comes out. So that's all I wanted to say. Big shout out to Dan and Tori from FullScript. Thank you very much. And go get them, guys.
Giving tradies and contractors around the globe the tools to run a modern business. You're listening to Toolbox Talks from the Site Shed. Now here's your host, Matt Jones.
Hello and welcome to Toolbox Talks. My name is Matt Jones, and today we are being joined on the show by Chris from the Australian Physiotherapy Association, and we're talking about Tradies National Health Month. Chris, welcome to the microphone.
Oh, look, thanks, Matt. I really appreciate the opportunity to be part of this.
No, mate, thank you. And what a fantastic initiative you guys have got running. Full kudos to you. I've been following it for a couple of years now, and it's just awesome. So can you maybe, I suppose, just for the listeners out there, let's have a little bit of a chat in this episode about Tradies National Health Month, and I suppose what the initiative is. We've actually, just for the listeners, we've broken this down into a 3-part series, and we're going to be talking a little bit more specifically with both Chris and his colleague, David Hall, and we're going to be talking about being fit for work. We're going to be talking about safety on the job, and we're also going to be talking about health and wellness. So I suppose what we'd like to do, first of all, Chris, is maybe just give the listeners a bit of an overview as to what Tradies Health Month is and what your involvement is within that program.
Yeah, look, thanks, Matt, and thank you to your audience as well. And we know about 2 or 3 years ago, the association, we're the Australian Physiotherapy Association, so the APA, and I'm the CEO here. And a lot of our members who treat tradies came to us with an idea to say, look, we're seeing a lot of not only injuries, but things around chronic disease and work-related issues, and came up with the idea of an awareness month called Tradies National Health Month. So we've anointed August as Tradies Month here at the APA, and what we do, it's really an awareness education campaign around Australian tradies to watch more than just their backs during the month. So it's all about health, well-being, and not just physical health, a little bit of mental health. As we know, it's quite a prevalent issue at the moment as well. So I think it's really an ongoing, almost tag a mate to talk about their health, not only physical but mental, their safety, health and well-being in the workplace.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of data. We've got a lot of data from different sources, whether it be Safe Work Australia and government, on just the injuries and the economic impact it has on the economy. And so we're doing our little bit to try and just raise that awareness.
Yeah, fantastic. I suppose that's one area of the industry that maybe as tradesmen, I mean, I'm originally a plumber myself, and I know, it's not the kind of thing you go and talk to your mates about, mental health. Is that a quite a large problem that you see, or is that quite an evident problem in the industry?
Yeah, look, in terms of, physios are trained to look at the body, but more and more, I think physical pain can be related to other issues, and usually it can involve stress, mental health, even psychological episodes throughout your life. Tradies see a lot of tough things, and if they do see an injury at work, for example, nail gun in eyes and all those sort of things, it can be quite a scarring thing, and us men tend to bottle it all up. Now we know there's lots of women tradies as well, but I guess as a generalisation, we would tend to just keep to ourselves. And I think the awareness now is coming through to it's okay to talk to someone. Are you okay days and Beyond Blue, all the good things that these organisations are doing are making it easier for tradies, both men and women, to actually talk to their peers, their colleagues and professionals about these potentially long-term impacts on your health.
Yeah, and I suppose I've got a lot of friends and colleagues that are practitioners, many of them physiotherapists, and my fiance is actually a massage therapist, and she was telling me, well, closely to what you were just saying then, very often a lot of what you guys are doing, it's almost like counselling to a degree.
Yeah. Look, it's spot on. Look, although, our members are clinically trained in all areas of the body, I think, mental health, particularly in this day and age, and where the world that we're living in, Matt, quite frankly, we need some counselling and some, discussion and dialogue around that. A couple of the ambassadors we have in the program is, you may remember from the Block and Renault Rumble, Kyle and Cara. Kyle is a chippy, he's a carpenter, and Cara is a physio. So it just has a good link, and she speaks a lot about Kyle making sure as he's getting a little bit older, just looking after his health both physically and mentally as well.
Okay, so some of the audience may be familiar with some of the marketing material that you guys produce, and I mean I've seen some of these flyers with people leading a bunch of tradies out on site doing stretching and bends and stuff. Is that are they sort of programs that you guys promote, or what actually does Tradies National Health Month promote?
Yeah, so firstly, it's the awareness piece and just getting an understanding. But we do have some fact sheets and the ability for not only our members to get involved, physios, but tradies, workplaces, compensable schemes like the TAC and WorkSafe, and things around stretching before and after work to avoiding injury, manual handling, and just general health through day-to-day. So making sure you're not doing repetitive things on an ongoing basis.
Yep.
But then the other aspect around prevention of chronic disease. So looking at your nutrition, all that balance, and then, of course, that piece around mental health and ensuring you and your colleagues and your mates are doing okay in the workplace.
Yep.
And I think we're finding employers are getting more behind these sort of initiatives. It may have been an unsaid thing back in the day, but I think there is a responsibility on employers, and a lot of your listeners would be, small business owners or employers in their own right, that they almost have a responsibility now to ensure that they do provide a good and safe and holistic workplace.
Yeah, fantastic. And I suppose it's one of those things, isn't it? I mean, so often you hear about, like injuries happening, as an example, as a result of maybe a build-up of small things that have occurred over time. I imagine if we can sort of address the smaller things, like you were just saying then, and treat them as they arise, then you sort of you reduce the chance of it getting to that stage where it sort of becomes this massive problem.
Yeah, look, absolutely. I think when there's an episode, if you get the right treatment early, that can prevent ongoing and chronic issues. So we all probably had a tweak in the back, or maybe a knee issue or a hamstring issue or whatever it is, digging holes or whatever.
Yep.
And I think the tendency is to say she'll be right, a bit of heat or something, and we'll get through.
Yeah.
But I think that early intervention is so critical to get it assessed professionally and then get the adequate treatment. And I quite often compare it to, we would have no problem spending $200, $300, $400 getting our car serviced or looked at by a mechanic. But when it comes to our bodies, we don't tend to make the same investment. So it's really just a mindset for your listeners to say, look, this is my health is my I'm investing in my health by doing this. So it's just a take-home message to don't be scared or ashamed to invest in your health and get it checked in, whether it be your GP, your physio, or your other health professional.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? I've just been through this stage recently myself. So I'm 35 years old. I'm pretty active, but recently I've just started putting a lot of attention into, I suppose, mobility, flexibility, and all these kind of things that when you're growing up as a 20-year-old, you don't really look at. You just want to go out there and lift weights and get that sort of physique thing happening, and then all of a sudden you realise that you can't bend over to tie your shoes. I wonder where that disconnect comes from. I mean, if it's like a social thing, or I see a lot of my friends now my age that are sort of moving back towards, okay, I do need to start doing stuff now because, in 5-10 years' time, if I don't start it now, I won't be able to do it.
Yeah, look, I think you're spot on. And the realisation that we're all different, and I've had a similar trajectory to you. You're a little bit younger, but, in your teens and 20s, you're doing lots of activity. Perhaps you're not watching your diet that much. You might having a bit of takeaway, McDonald's or whatever. And then, in your 20s, you start to work. You're not spending as much time perhaps either in a sporting environment, and you see changes in your body and you feel different, and you don't have the same tolerances evermore. So it's once you understand what your body accepts and enjoys and responds well to, I think making those micro changes at different points in your life, whether you get engaged, you get married, you have kids, your time gets chewed up, your priorities are different. But I think getting back to that investment in yourself, making time for what you enjoy, which actually relates to healthy living. So no one's asking you to go run a marathon or go, lift heavy weights or go swim if you don't like doing those things. I think we all have a unique way of responding. And so it's about finding what works for you personally, and then just actually making that into a routine and a habit where you can, look after your health. And we don't want to be Iron Men or Iron Women. I think it's just a matter of balance and how we just maintain our health and fitness along the way.
Yeah, and I think as well the reality, Chris, is that very often, you don't. A lot of people out there, we don't always get exposure to these things, which is, I suppose, where you and I come into play in this instance. Being able to build a bit of an awareness around maybe alternative solutions or alternative things that people can do that can maybe help them in certain areas of their life that they may be potentially feeling a bit of pressure at the moment. So maybe that is going to see a physiotherapist, or maybe that is going to see a chiropractor or whatever it is. But even down to the point of different types of training. Do you guys in this program do you talk about different types of training and for example yoga or Pilates or anything like that, and how that could be implemented into a tradie's life?
Yeah, look, all that stuff, and we keep it pretty high level because it is, at times you do need to tailor something specific to a condition, to a person, but all those things are touched on because there's no such thing as a bad activity. I think it's really important to stress that to your listeners, to say what one person's, they may be doing, I don't know, shadow boxing for something, and someone else might be doing, planking or Pilates. So the differences are unique, but I think it adds value to each individual. So yeah, we give some high level advice and guidance. And I was remiss of me not to say there is a website for this campaign. So tradieshealth.com.au, and your listeners can go on there and find out ways to get involved. There are fact sheets and a whole range of activities, and we're trying to mobilise our members and our physios. So if you did want to see your local physio, more than not, they'll be aware of the campaign and can help you along.
Yeah, fantastic. So let's talk a little bit about the series we're putting together. We've called it Keeping Healthy, Happy and Mobile, and we're basically going to cover off on a bunch of things. We've got here how to stretch before and after we work to avoid injury. Now, what's your experience on this? I suppose, A, from obviously your professional background, and then B, from the position of somebody who's actually out there on site, actually doing the exercises. Does it happen?
Oh, look, no. You're a tradie. You know the realities of getting on site, getting there on time. There's lots of external pressures around getting the job done, quoting, going to the next job. So I'm a realist. I know.
Yeah.
If you can somehow incorporate it into the day, whether it be before a heavy manual handling, or if you're unloading a pallet of pavers or whatever it is,
yeah.
I think it's important just to make people aware that stretching, or at least warming up, limbering up, particularly in trades that have a lot of manual activity, is critically important. And the evidence says it helps you avoid injury. And I think we're not asking you to do a 45-minute detailed warm-up. I think it's practicality as well, because it is you're in a commercial setting.
Yeah.
But I think if you don't do something, then the economic consequences down the track will actually kick in as well. So, look, we're realists, but we, again, as part of this education program, is to work out what you can do for 2 or 3 minutes just to help prevent injury. And I think David, who'll be doing the Be Fit for Work and Safety in the Job, is well qualified a position to give some real tangible takeaways for your audience.
Yeah, that's fantastic, because I know for sure, I mean, my experience definitely with, going through an apprenticeship and then working within the industry is nobody ever came to me and taught me how to lift correctly, how to install a concrete pit by lifting the right way, or how to even how to dig correctly. Like, digging's a bit of an art form. You can easily throw your back out with a shovel. So it'll be interesting to see what
Can you imagine you doing some Merv Hughes stretches before you pick up your shovel and dig into it? Just look, you might tolerate it now, but maybe imagine when you went through your apprenticeship and said to your boss, look, I just have to do my 15-minute warm-up. And so we know it's not a reality, but we need to try and speak to employers and decision makers to help allow for that during the day.
Yeah, I suppose one thing that I'm really looking forward to getting a bit of clarity around in this series as well is how general health can impact your day-to-day life, and how you can, the way that I suppose your health is not necessarily, at the end of the day, it doesn't just affect you. Like, it can affect, your family, your colleagues, your friends. Like, it affects everyone, So I think it's really important that people get a really good overview on how to look after themselves, if not selfishly, but for, all of your loved ones as well.
Yeah, we'll touch on that on episode 3, but most definitely around even things that perhaps we don't think about, and the cost to the health system and governments and those sort of things. But yeah, family first and foremost. There is an impact on them, particularly if you have a long-term injury or also a chronic illness. That is an impact which causes stresses in other areas.
Yeah, and when we talk chronic illness, are we talking things like like diabetes and those sort of things, or what are we talking about?
Yeah, look, they're the big ones. We talk about arthritis, musculoskeletal problems, and the big one there is back pain. We know pain and lower back pain is a big issue in our society. Cancer, heart disease, any of the lung diseases, even knee pain, osteoarthritis. As we get a bit older, our joints get a bit sorer. So these are things that are, the term chronic means ongoing, and so these are things that are ongoing that has a big impact on your long-term health.
Yeah, fantastic. So, and in your professional opinion, there are certainly things that people can be doing out there to reduce the chances of that happening, or maybe even secondly, prevent it from happening in the first place. Is that right?
Yeah, spot on. And a lot of them are linked to our new age lifestyle. So, we're all on devices and computers and Netflix and iPads and the like.
Yep.
Our diet, and we'll talk a little bit about diet later, but, and I don't like to use the term diet. It's really just our nutrition and how we get our nutrition.
Yep.
So we can talk a little bit about that and really the obesity sort of epidemic in Australia as well. Nearly 2/3 of the country is overweight or obese.
Wow.
20, 30 years ago, that was not the case. So, what are we doing? What are we eating? And are we moving less? And if we are, how do we actually change that behaviour?
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if, I sometimes wonder if there's a bit of a disconnect between, I suppose, people considering the whole ecosystem of being healthy as opposed to, well, I go to the gym twice a week and lift weights, so I can pretty much eat what I want. They're not really tying in the fact that, the way you eat, the way you exercise, sleep, like all this sort of stuff, it all works together to form that one healthy body.
Yeah, look, and that's a really great analogy. I think that holistic, and you use the term ecosystem, is really good. And without getting too spiritual, you've got your mind, you get your mind right and your mental health, you got your body, and then sort of your soul as well. So people are into meditation or yoga or whatever.
Yep.
All that helps. And so we're not being prescriptive about what you actually should be doing or have to do. We're just giving choice. And as long as you do a little bit of something and get that balance, and don't sacrifice, don't have a couple of beers, don't have a pie at the footy, but it's all around balance.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Chris Masses, thank you very much for that introduction to Tradies National Health Month. For the listeners, all the links will be within the show notes. And for those that aren't going to go to the show notes, you can go to tradieshealth.com.au. That's TRADIES health.com.au. However, as mentioned, they will be in the show notes, so you can just go there and click on the button. We are going to wrap up this episode right now, but then we're going to come back in episode 1, where I'll be talking with David about being fit for work. So is there anything else you wanted to close off on there, Chris?
No, look, thanks for the opportunity, and tell your listeners to get on the website.
Absolutely fantastic. Thank you for listening to another episode of Toolbox Talks. If you're liking what you hear, then you can head across to thesiteshed.com, where you can join our community by signing up to our Toolbox Talks. You'll get sent a weekly notification, which is basically a highlight of everything that we've spoken about during that week, along with any other industry news that may be relevant or specific to the trades. If you're enjoying the show, you can head across to iTunes, Stitcher, or SoundCloud, where you can leave us a review. That would be fantastic, and all the reviews get read out in the show. Likewise, if you have any friends or colleagues that you think would benefit from the show and the episodes that we create, then please go ahead and share it with them.